I'm recording too, so go ahead, kick it off.
Hello, Dick Allgire. It is lovely to see you again. This is Bix Weir with Road to Ruta. I am here to have some very fun and deep discussions with my friend Dick Allgire of Crypto Viewing. I watch his channel daily, sometimes twice a day, sometimes three times a day. If I miss something that I didn't quite understand what he was saying. And Dick, how's life in Hawaii treating you?
Life is good. It's pretty early in the morning. I just woke up, so I'm going to a yoga class in 2 hours, and we'll fit in a nice little discussion. So good morning.
Well, it's great to have you on. What my thought was, we hadn't talked in a while, and I'm like, well, let's do two videos, one for your crypto viewing channel and one for the Road to Ruta channel. And we both have questions with each other. I think we're absolutely on the same page. It's just that certain things we disagree with that about our ability to overthrow these criminals that control our lives. Would you like to start with your questions for me, or should
Why
I
don't you
start?
go ahead?
Okay.
You go ahead first.
Because I wrote them down. So this is
Okay, go
official.
ahead.
This is official interview. Dearest Dick. No. These are a couple of questions I want us to talk about. First one is, we've worked on some amazing remote viewing project. That's absolutely true. Like the discovery of Seth Tanner's ancient Egyptian, it's not Egyptian, but ancient cave in the Grand Canyon, the forming of the Grand Canyon itself and the ancient pyramids on the canyon floor, and of course, who is Satoshi Nakamoto? The results to me should have been paradigm shifting for anybody who watched those. And given that you're only working with a number, it is amazing that you came out with that information. But we post the information, people go, oh my God, this is amazing stuff. And then it seems like it just disappears and it goes away. What's your take on what is it about remote viewing that people have a hard time saying, this is sound, this is real, this is what happened?
Well, I've been doing it for over 20 years. And in my experience, you can do the greatest remote viewing session right in front of somebody's eyes. And they go, oh, that's good. Do it again. I did a demonstration for Korean broadcasting. They sent a crew, and on camera, I nailed a target. And they had just picked it out. And they knew they were the only ones that knew what it was. And they looked at it, and it was so good they couldn't believe it. So they said, do it again. And I'm like, no. I think people tend to just look at it, but unless they've been a part of the process, they just can't wrap their mind around it. You know that you tasked a few targets and watched us, and you knew that I didn't know what it was, and then saw the results. So you were a part of the process. It was more impressive. Yeah, I've done some amazing sessions that get a little bit of notoriety, but then it's just everybody's on to the next thing. I just think unless you do it yourself, you don't appreciate how amazing it is.
Well, I appreciate it 100%. I have, and to me, it was weird because I kind of knew there was the things we talked about, the Grand Canyon stuff and Satoshi. I had an inkling, and that's what made me kind of, when Cliff High says, well, it's more Dick reading your mind, but we went through a different tasker. I came up with the target, but when we went through a different tasker, I don't know how this could ever get back to me.
Well,
and it wasn't the same stuff as I thought it was.
The idea of that the viewer is reading your mind, we've proved that's not true many times, because on a number of occasions, I've seen a viewer provide data that the tasker didn't know, things that were unknown to the tasker. And later, when we do a lot of sessions, we do collateral research. So we go out and we research the topic, and we found, oh, the viewer drew this and described this and said this, and the tasker goes and discovers, oh, I didn't know that, and that was true. I've seen that happen many times. So you're not reading the mind of the tasker. I mean, some of that, it's all intertwined. It's all a big soup. All the information is there. So I believe that the viewers actually go to the target time and location, in time and space, and interact with it.
So you're agreeing with me that Alan Greenspan had a role in the creation of Bitcoin?
The data that we saw was that we never saw an Asian guy named Satoshi. We saw a number of people working on a long project that goes back many years, like at least a generation or two. I had stuff in the 60s, 70s, and the guy I drew with the necktie did look a lot like,
Come on, say it. Go ahead, say it.
Looked like Alan Greenspan. It did look like him. Now that name didn't pop into my head. It was just, I saw this guy. I go, oh, this guy's real smart. He's working on this thing with a bunch of mathematicians and it's college level guys. So, but I absolutely believe Bitcoin wasn't just some computer geek made this up. This was designed long ago, when the people that run the financial system decided they wanted a global system of currency that would replace fiat money.
Well, that absolutely links into my work on Alan Greenspan being a computer programmer back in the 60s. His best high school friend, John Kemeny, was the guy who invented basic computing. And then Alan Greenspan his mentor was the head of the Federal Reserve. As far as hits goes, Alan Greenspan blamed himself for screwing up Y2K. He's the guy who programmed only 2 digits instead of 4. He's one of the guys. So these were people working in the 1960s on literally the electronic financial system that both that we know today and the new one coming, the crypto revolution. It's really exciting.
That's how far in advance the controllers plan things. Well in advance. I mean, probably hundreds of years.
Yeah.
And they knew what was possible, and they designed this, and they were waiting for the computer technology to catch up. They knew that you have to have a powerful computer that everybody can hold in their hands that is linked wirelessly.
Steve Jobs right there. You drew Steve Jobs.
Yeah. It's all part of the same thing. But see, Bix, where this is going is a digital ID, and it's going to be a society and a world where we're called cellular automatons. We're going to be nodes in this system, and there's no way that you're not going to be in the system. I just did a YouTube video that, on the guy in Czechoslovakia, where they're rolling this out in the EU, where they say, if you want your pension, if you want to be in the system, get your digital ID, and it's going to be by your smartphone. You can opt out of that, but you're also opting out of getting your pension, your health care, and any social interaction.
And that comes down to who is in charge of that system. Can it be decentralized, or are we still going to have these criminals who control our lives now? Or can it be that we can turn this around and have benevolent leaders working with us to move forward, instead of these criminals who have controlled our lives? And that's kind of where I think we have come to a disagreement at a hard impasse, is that you believe, and I'm going to put words in your mouth right now, you believe that these criminals, literally, they don't think they're criminals. They think they're probably helping humanity. But the people who control our lives through the power and tools that they use with the monetary system, with social engineering, there's no doubt they've controlled our lives for thousands of years. You think they will always control us. I think we have the ability to choose our own future. We can fight and fight and fight. And at some point, good always overtakes evil. And I think we're getting to that point. But you don't think it can happen?
Well, okay. First of all, I would say why do you and I want to overthrow this system? You and I live very comfortable lives. We can, if you and I wanted to go to Maui tomorrow, we could just take our credit card, swipe it, get on a plane, go to have a Mai Tai on the beach. We have a very nice life. You want to overthrow that?
I do.
Okay.
Because I don't think, I know that the system is built, as Chris Dwayne would say, on death and, what does he say, death and destruction type of currency. This is completely built on false promises and false premises. The concept that you can rig and control markets to pretend and lie to humanity that they're living in a free society, living in a society with free markets, that is unsustainable in any world, because it should be unsustainable. Lying, cheating, and stealing should at one day meet its maker, because absolutely we are benefiting from it, but there's a huge population of 7 billion people. The vast majority of them work their lives to pay for debt that was created out of thin air. So yeah, a small few benefit, but the vast majority don't.
A lot of people around the world have a hard time just getting enough to eat.
Absolutely.
And finding a clean water and a place to live.
Absolutely. And so should we live as slaves to these people who create money out of thin air and then give it to us with interest? And that's their key is the interest part. That's where they get our servitude, is bowing down to the man and working at our 9 to 5.
The thing is, every system that's organized is organized by a higher controlling authority. So when you think America was this beacon of freedom and we have nationalism and, we're going to create a democratic republic and have democracy and vote. Well, that was all decided for us. They used to have kingdoms and earls, and then they said, now we're going to go to nation states. So they designed nation states. And they thought, well, this will be a good plan because people think they're going to vote for their leaders. So they vote, they're happy, and they think they control their own destiny, and they make a little money, and it keeps the herd happy. That is being taken down, Bix. You know that nationalism is a dirty word, and we have a whole new generation of kids that are coming up. No borders. No borders.
That's what they're trying to do. And I know you don't believe in Q and the Trump movement and all that, the good guys, as I like to call them. But I do. I think we can, if all we need to do is expose this thing. And yes, you're right. They have controlled us. They are steering us in a certain way.
But expose what?
Lies. All the lies. You're telling us that we're being engineered into this situation. Let's expose that lie. That's a good lie to expose.
Well, I'll tell you that our whole history is a lie. Everything you and I are taught, and people that
absolutely
we are taught. History is intelligence. It's only allowed to certain few. There are elite people, Bix, that are given from a very young age the true story and knowledge. It's like secret schools. Knowledge is power,
right. And that's what I'm saying. We got to get rid of we have to get rid of all of it. We have to bring out the truth of how we got here, what we're doing here. Is there life on other planets? I got night vision goggles. I look up in the sky and I see things that we don't have in our arsenal of military arsenal. What are these things flying around? We need to expose all the lies of the past to move forward. And I think that's a key thing for taking out these people who control us, is to expose the lies. If we expose them all, then at least we can all work from the same footing. And if we need leaders in certain areas, I agree. Leaders should be in certain areas, but they shouldn't be founded on a lie. They should be founded on truth and honesty. And yes, I know that there was a lot going on behind the scenes with the United States and the founding of the United States, but in the same breath, it's the closest we've come to shedding the oppression of these criminals who control us. And I think we can get closer and closer if the United States is allowed to be a free country and we can be that beacon of light that Reagan said we were?
Well, I would say it's like you have a herd of cows, and the cows think that they're controlled by the person that provides the feed, in the feedlot, and gives them their water. So the cows get together and say, "Hey, we're going to change this. We're going to take out the guy that brings the food," but they can't get at the owner of the factory farm, and then the government that allows the factory farm to run. I mean, there's levels.
But that's past. I mean, that's going on still, but that's what we got to get rid of. That's what I'm trying to say.
Well, good luck. What if, let me just speculate here. I'm not saying this is true. What if your birth certificate was a certificate of ownership?
I studied that 10 years ago. Absolutely.
What if,
and to capitalize your capitalized name?
What if the person that was the holder of that, the curator of the certificate, was the Bank of International Settlements? What are they settling internationally?
But what if we throw off those ridiculous rules and laws, admiralty law, and all the bullshit that has gone on before that we didn't consent to? Human beings,
we didn't. Most people have no clue.
No, exactly. So fuck them. I don't care if some guy from the BIS or some Illuminati dude walks up and says, "Well, I own you because we invented this scheme to get your name on this birth certificate, and we have monetized you." It's all bullshit at the end of the day, because I never consented to that. And I was brought into this world as an individual soul, and I have no soul contract, written contract with these people that you discuss. So when they come to my door and say, "You are a member of this group because we own your social security number. We capitalized your name on your birth certificate. We subjected you to a ancient form called admiralty law." It is all bullshit. They can believe what they want unless they have a gun, and they might get them coming to my front doorstep and say, "Hey, your birth certificate says you belong to this group, or you've been categorized into here." I never consented to it. And in the U.S., the military of the U.S. today, they didn't consent to it either. So when they come knocking on my door, they're going to say, "Hey, I'm not going to do this because I have my family who didn't consent to this either." This is all the bullshit that we've been held down with. And we are evolving souls now. We're getting out of the paradigm of, you're part of this contract and you have to do this. And unless I consented to it, unless my soul consented to something, I'm going to say bullshit unless it benefits me.
I don't see humanity evolving out of it. I look at the great symphonies and the great artwork that came out of Europe in like the 17 and 1800s and earlier, and I look at pop culture today. I think we're devolving. I look at most Americans; they're pretty fat.
But that's only because we're being lied to. That's only because we're hooked into their system. That's the only reason, and we're being socially engineered to be more stupid over time.
Yeah. Well, you and I aren't, and I think it comes down to cryptocurrencies are coming. That system is coming, so you better get some.
True. Okay, so I have one final question for you, and then you can.
Well, you had a question about remote viewing, about why we can't get the price.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. Now you just asked my own question, because I sent it. Ladies and gentlemen, I sent him the questions before.
Yeah, go ahead. Ask.
Dick Allgire, let me ask you a question. In my mind, you have proven that remote viewing can be very useful in uncovering the past secrets as well as predicting future events, but it's not 100% accurate when it comes to cryptocurrency prices. Why do you think there's so many misses in the crypto viewing space of crypto prices?
Remote viewing is very difficult to get numbers and words, because that is a conscious brain concept. numbers. I'm very good at seeing imagery. Like, okay, I see this guy and I drew Alan Greenspan. I can see, if it's the Grand Canyon, I can see a landform that's, you know, many layers of geologic time and a river going through it. But getting a number is really hard in remote viewing. And crypto itself is so slippery. It's so controlled. It's so run on emotion. It's so variable. It's so volatile that we've given up trying to say, what we're trying to do right now is, let me get we're trying to do charts. I just did one last night for our Patreon people.
Charts like what things you can see visually using remote.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I get the overall that? Mm-hmm. That's what we're working on right now. Remote viewing cryptos is, we've never claimed that we've got it down. This is an experiment, and we're having people watch our experiment. So we've had some successes and some failures. And we've gone into the hodling camp. Like, don't use remote viewing to be a day trader. You're going to get stung doing that.
Especially if you're on Binance.
Yeah. You know, Bix,
which we'll get to.
I had some stuff on Binance, and let me tell you.
Well, let's go from there. Ladies and gentlemen, that ends the Road to Ruta portion. You can find this at roadtoruta.com YouTube channel, or Road to Ruta YouTube channel. Now you're going to move over to the Crypto Viewing channel with Dick Allgire. Take it away, Dick.